Hello and welcome to another video. I'm Maz and today I'm in Gloucester. And in today's video, I'll be trying out this Polestar 2, my second ever experience in an EV. Second only to the I-Pace. This car was kindly lent to me by my friend Swedish. And if you are interested, follow him on Instagram. I'll put his Insta ID down below. A quick overview, the Polestar brand was originally Volvo's performance division with the S60 Polestar, but recently has branched off to become its own brand, starting with the Polestar 1 in 2019, which was a coupe plug-in hybrid and was sold in limited numbers and were all left-hand drive. And then unveiled in 2019 and then went on sale in 2020 came this, the Polestar 2. And ever since, Polestar have literally named their cars in numerical order, such as the Polestar 3 and the Polestar 4. But in this video, we're just going to focus on the Polestar 2, which came on sale in 2020 with three variants: the entry-level car with front-wheel drive, the dual motor with all-wheel drive and a longer range, and then another dual motor all-wheel drive called the Performance with bronze brake calipers, bronze seat belts and Erlin dampers. As you can tell, this does look somewhat like a Volvo with its hammerhead DRLs. The 3 and the 4 then went on to have their own distinct identity, and underneath this car is pretty much a Volvo XC40/C40, and it rivals cars like the Jaguar I-Pace, the Tesla Model Y and the BMW iX4. Later on they did do a BST variant, first the BST 270 and then the BST 230, but really those cars deserve a separate review. And then in 2022 the car got a facelift which ditched the fake grille, and in its place you just got one solid beam which is color coded to the car. So if the car's white, the grille would also be white. But one thing I'm glad that they did on the facelift is the base early car is front wheel drive, but the base later car is rear wheel drive, which dynamically will improve the way the car performs. Though in this case I have an all-wheel drive car with me. And here are the specs for this particular model. And if you are a Polestar owner or Volvo owner and you would like a car featured on the channel, feel free to reach out. And it's also worth mentioning Polestar are under the umbrella of Geely Motors, who also own Volvo and Lotus, and the LEVC, who make the modern day London black cab. And due to how recent the Polestar brand is, that's it for this overview. So here is the front of the Polestar 2, and here is the key fob. Pretty much the same as the one you would get in the equivalent Volvo, though it does look a bit dumbed down in my opinion. There's no chrome down the side and there's no leather on the front, and the Polestar badge is offset to the corner. That being said, you do get lock, unlock, boot on one side, and then my favourite, the panic button, which is mandated in North America, but here in the UK you would only find these on Jaguars, Land Rovers and Volvo products. And of course this Polestar 2 is pretty much a spin-off from the XC40. And of course here is the Polestar emblem. The grille in this pre-facelift does look very traditional, that it has slats on it. And you can also see the housing for the sensors and the front camera. Once again, the headlights are very Volvo-esque with these hammerhead DRLs and very thin appearance. And you do get some creases on the bonnet, which I'm assuming is there just to help the driver see where the front of the car is. Coming to the side, it is jacked up, but the design is very three-box, like a saloon with a lift-back tailgate. Personally, I do think it's more interesting than the Model Y, but probably not an I-Pace, though I am probably biased. This particular car has some diamond-cut wheels, and they are 19 inches. Polestar even have the designation on the side, but rather than being a badge, it's a sticker. Here's the mirror for the side views, ideal for the curbs if you're going up Eastgate NCP. And just like Volvo, rather than having a casing and then a mirror inside, the entire fascia is the mirror. So rather than the mirror moving when you adjust it, the entire housing moves with it. Interestingly, this car has a shark fin, and the charge port is in a very traditional place on the side of the car, as if it were a fuel door for an internal combustion engine car. Of course, you've got AC here and DC underneath. Coming to the back, once again, nothing surprising. It just looks like a saloon with a lift back tailgate. Personally, I prefer the 3-box design while still having the practicality of the entire rear end opening. Interestingly, to open the tailgate, normally there would be a catch on the tailgate itself, but because the number plate is nestled underneath, you either pull a latch here or you can do it from the key like so. Here's how much space you get. And just like a Volvo, you get this divider here which can separate one half of your cargo area from the other. And you still get tie down straps. You got 2 hooks here, and once you're done, you just fold it flat. That being said, you also got 2 more hooks here, and if that's not enough, there's also some more underneath. Also, there's a 12-volt socket here, so if you want, you can plug a small vacuum cleaner and vacuum the cargo area. And then to close, you press this button here, and if you want to close the tailgate and lock the car completely, you press this one here, so down it goes. And before we go inside, there is another boot in the front, which opens like a traditional bonnet, which of course you can use to store your charger. And here's how much space there is in here. And yes, you can also top up your washer fluid from here. And yes, there's some storage underneath, but really they're just there for your warning triangle, what looks like your fuse puller, and your tyre repair kit. Missed opportunity in my opinion, but they could have put another charge port on this side. And now we're coming to the back. Just like a Jaguar XE, this section, just like a Jaguar XE, this section of the window frame does protrude out just a little bit. The opening is a bit narrow, especially at the bottom, and in this interior every single material is man-made. So you got what Polestar call the vegan interior. And one thing I do like is that the speaker grille is this entire trim here, and the door handles do remind me of a Volvo as well. Sat in the back now, and I do have some very good headroom, though I am a bit too close to the edge. Knee room and legroom are very good. Unfortunately, due to this car being based on a internal combustion engine car, there is a transmission tunnel here. Again, these rear vents do remind me of a Volvo. They do feel nice and upmarket, and the solidity is very good, unlike on a Mercedes, which can feel a bit clattery. You do get seat heaters in this particular car for both sides, and 2 USB-Cs hidden behind what looks like a 12-volt socket cover. Quickly move toothless out of the way. You do have a center armrest, 2 cup holders, and a small one here for energy drinks. Again, this is all fabric, and you do get another headrest here for the center passenger. Once again, that fabric is continued on the headliner, and this glass roof is very generous and once again reminds me of the I-Pace. Not only do you have a hook here, but you also have a hook here on the B-pillar. If you want, you can just tap this light here to turn off, and once again to turn on. And yes, there are nets behind the seat backs for extra storage. Coming to the driver's side, once again the fabric material continues here. There is very little padding on the armrest, and the window switches look very similar to a Jaguar, as both Volvo and Jaguar were part of the Premier Automotive Group once upon a time. Once again, the speaker grille is this entire lighter trim here. You do get some storage down here, and you get two-way memory seats. Those pedals also look like they came from a Land Rover as well. And I do like these little Polestar kick plates as well. And the main reason why I'm not a fan of this material is here. Unfortunately, it's very hard to keep it clean, as seen on this headrest. I think this material on the steering wheel would have suited the seats better. Now coming inside, once again it's very similar to an equivalent Volvo. The steering wheel looks very Volvo-y, except for the Polestar emblem. As I've mentioned, the door handle is very similar to a Volvo. So here is my point of view. You get a very nice digital driver's display. These very tactile climate control switches are once again apparent here. And I do like this pattern underneath, which extends to the passenger side as well. Once again, that's the speaker grille. The center air vents are up here, and they are Harman Kardon. You've got one cup holder here, but if I lift up the armrest, there is another one here as well. Here's the Polestar gear selector. Not a great deal different to a Volvo counterpart in terms of layout, the way you got the R&D symbol here, and then park as a button. You've also got the volume dial here, the play pause button, and I do like the knurling over here as well. That's your hazard, and then these are your window demisters. Center console storage is very cavernous. You can fit not one but two phones. In fact, I can even put my phone in lengthways. There is some extra storage here, but I'm not sure what you're going to put in there. Same with the reverse side of the center console. Whilst the seats are fully electric, the only exception to that are the headrests and this under-thigh support as well, which unfortunately, just like a BMW, collects dirt here as well. Glove box is pretty generous. Interestingly, whilst the front boot releaser is on the driver's side, you can sort of see the cutout for where the releaser would have been on a left-hand drive car. Whilst I'm okay with the material on the headlining, I wish that they could have extended it onto the sun visors as well, because they are a bit plasticky and you do get some place to store your notes, but again, that does sound a bit cheap, but you do get a nice light here as well. My favourite detail would have to be on the seat belts. It says since 1959, because that is the year that Volvo introduced the 3-point seat belt, and the reason they didn't patent this design is to let every single other manufacturer use this 3-point seat belt solution for safety reasons. And finally we come to this Google-based infotainment system, or AAOS, which stands for Android Automotive Operating System. So this is your home screen. Looks pretty much like a tablet in terms of functionality as well as appearance, unfortunately, but you do get your climate always on the bottom, so seat heaters, climate fan, and the temperature. And just like a tablet, if you swipe down, you can view this message board. You've got Google Maps as standard. You can connect your Bluetooth. You do get Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, and something to help with range. You've got cameras as well, though the car is off. You've also got other apps like Waze, Chrome, ChargePoint, Messages, Prime Video, YouTube, and Spotify. This top one here, which I'm not going to show, is just your profile. And if you tap the Polestar car, it shows you this, so how you prefer your steering, light, standard or firm, if you want the stability control on or off, if you want to have the creep function, which is when the car slowly moves forward with your foot off the accelerator when in drive. And of course you got the option to have one pedal drive, so if you let go of the accelerator, the car dramatically slows down. You've got your assists, charge, we're at 59% so far, and various other details. So that's the exterior and interior done now, so let's see what this car is like to drive. So seatbelt on with the since 59 stamping on it. The buckle itself is quite deep down. So to start the car, I put my foot on the brake and then push back to drive. and off. The creep function is off. Let's turn that on. And off we go. So from first impressions, it does have a very thin steering wheel, similar to what you get in a Jaguar or a Land Rover. And currently the car has light steering, and one pedal driving is in standard mode, which if I let go, dramatically slows the car down to a halt. So I'm going to turn that off for now. That does overwhelm me a bit. Indicator and wiper switches are straight from Volvo, similar to what you get in a Lotus as well. But yes, at least the car lets you drive like a normal car if you want. You don't have to drive it like an EV in the context of one pedal driving, and giving you the option to have the creep function on. And one thing I like about this car over the Tesla is you actually have an interior. It feels like you're in a car. Whereas on the Tesla, I think it's minimalism overkill. In standard one pedal drive, the brakes aren't that strong. They are a little bit spongy, but everyday driving, that should not be an issue. Volvo cars are more aimed towards comfort rather than sporty. So in that context, it's not a major disadvantage. The I-Pace is a much sportier EV, which you can watch by clicking on the top right hand corner of the screen or in the link in the description down below. And off we go. Even with half throttle, this car very gradually makes its way, and I really like how efficiently packaged these frameless mirrors are on the doors. Even though we're in February, it is very sunny here, and driving down Eastern Avenue in stop-start traffic is very effortless. And because this car is sat high ever so slightly, you do get a good view outside the car, though for a high riding car it's very bizarre. You can't see the front of the car, you can't see the bonnet. Whilst that does improve outward visibility in terms of the road, that does mean you can't see where the front of the car physically is. So for that you have to sort of lean forward like so. Coming to a stop right now. I'm sure one pedal driving would work very well here, but me personally, I'm just not used to it. The very light steering I quite like in the city. So after half throttle, the car does jump a little bit. I'm guessing that was done deliberately so they're not overwhelmed by the quick acceleration from an EV. So let's put the steering into standard for now. And unfortunately, undulations do come through a lot in this car. For something like this, I would have expected a much more cosseting ride, but it is unfortunately very crashy. But yes, I'm not enjoying this at all. And if you are living in a place with a lot of speed bumps and a lot of undulations, this may be a bit of a disadvantage for you. And because this car is a full EV, it does not need a rev counter. And whilst it does require a speedometer, they just give you a digital reader on the bottom left corner, which means if you want, you can have a full map view, which I actually like. And it's definitely a huge benefit if you're in a city that you haven't been to before. Let's try the standard one pedal drive. Yep, that feels like a hard brake. Maybe low is the sweet spot in this car. The benefit of having one pedal drive is that letting go of the accelerator means it recuperates any lost energy back into the car, and you don't have to use the brakes as much, which prolong the life of the pads. But once again, in standard mode, the steering still feels on the light side. Entering the city centre now. In standard form, the steering does show some weight, but I'm so used to heavy steering, this still feels light to me. I think having it in low mode on one pedal drive feels a lot more natural. Standard, I think, just feels a bit too aggressive. But here it's a bit more like I'm driving a normal car that just happens to be recharging the battery. Green light. Turn right. There we go. And once again, low mode on one pedal drive does feel a lot nicer. It doesn't come to a complete stop. That you have to do yourself. But luckily this car has holes, so just do that and the car will remain stationary without having your foot on the brake. Nothing much to talk about regarding city driving, though the odd calibration of the accelerator pedal, nothing on the first 50%, and then everything on the second 50% means it can feel a bit jerky and stop-start. And if you've driven this car in isolation, I'm sure this car is brilliant, but I have driven an I-Pace, so sharp left turn. Okay, that's a very good sharp left-hander. There was barely any body roll. Let's do a right-hander here. Once again, I'm still in my seat, so that's another plus for the car. And over 50%, the car does feel a bit more athletic, but again, I'm not really saying much. If you want something more athletic, I'm sure the I-Pace will be a suitable candidate. So one last thing to check, see what it's like in the open road. Okay, one last thing to check, see what it's like on the open road. So for that, I'm going to put the steering into firm and turn off one pedal drive completely. And turning off one pedal drive completely means the accelerator is a lot more linear. So that lethargic first 50% is probably due to me choosing the one pedal drive function. Again, brakes are a bit on the weak side. They're not exactly linear, they're a bit spongy. I'm probably repeating myself. Okay, taking the turn. The firm steering actually feels very nice in my opinion. There's someone holding up the overtaking lane. They're still holding up the overtaking lane. Okay, on a roundabout now. Yep, the steering dramatically makes the car more eager to drive. Unfortunately, I'm understeering, and off I go. Acceleration is very good. Handling, even with firm steering, unfortunately, isn't enough to prevent the car from understeering. And being an all-wheel drive, that's probably why it's very get up and go in its character. There is no drive mode in this car, it's just how you want your steering to feel, if you want the stability control on or off, and if you want one pedal drive or not. And because this car has no rev counter, because it's an EV, there's no point telling you how much revs it does at 70. So all I can say is at 70 it's very calming. Yeah, putting my foot down, ideal for overtaking. It is somewhat satisfying the way you just put your foot down and it immediately picks up. So let's do a U-turn at the following roundabout and do that again. Okay, getting back onto the dual carriageway, put my foot down. Yeah, very dramatic the way it picks up speed. So that's the one fun part of this car. Unfortunately, the understeer does get in the way when cornering with this speed. But if you need to make a quick overtake, it definitely can do that easily. And again, due to this car not having a gearbox, because it's an electric car, there's nothing else I can comment. So let's head back to the car park and finalize this video. So that's it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed watching me try out this Polestar 2. Like the video if you enjoyed it, subscribe if you are new, ring the bell to stay up to speed, and I'll see you guys next time. Cheers.